In this video clip, I'm looking at the didactics of rhythm. The first thing which is very important, and you know this, is that we have to develop a secure sense of beat, first of all, and then rhythm among our learners. Now, beat is inherent. When we listen to music, our feet automatically starts moving to the beat. However, the moment we add rhythm to it, sometimes we lose our sense of beat, or we start to mix up the beat and the rhythm. Now, for the years that I've been a GDE examiner in matric practical exams, I saw it over and over. And if you're a teacher and you've been in music exams, you know that learners often struggle when it gets to sight reading, handling the beat, handling the rhythm. And the main issue there is they understand the beat, but it's to also place the rhythm within the context of the beat. So where do we start? When we look at beat, it's very important to do exercises which involve your body. So do exercises with a metronome. I would suggest maybe starting with that, or you can start with music examples straight away. Important part, the learners need to actually move to the beat. Whether they walk, whether they stamp their feet, whether they clap, whether they tap, but they need to actually feel the beat. And they need to keep on doing this. Not only in class, it's something that you need to foster, among your learners, that they keep working on that beat, that they're really sensitive to beat, that they really ground themselves when it gets to beat. Then, of course, the next thing is to start adding rhythm to the beat. So how do we do it? The first thing is they need to understand note values and rests. And whenever it's possible, well, most of the time it is actually possible, we link it with previous knowledge. And in this case, it would be to connect note values and rests with fractions. Now, make it fun. I've told you this in the past. Make it fun for the learners. Tell them, okay, imagine it's your birthday and you have this big cake, okay? And draw that cake on the board. Here's your cake. And you really look forward to this cake. And you are going to eat this cake all by your own. But guess what? There's a knock on the door and there's your friend. Okay, no problem. We divide the cake into half. Okay, so now we have a minimum and a minimum. And then there's another knock on the door, and you say, well, I'm the birthday girl. I'm going to still keep half of the cake, but you guys, you can split the other half into quarters. Okay, so you know where I'm going with this. So you keep on splitting into smaller sections. So related to what they already know. Then the next thing is that you actually show them how the notes are divided. So now they already understand it from a mathematical point of view. And now you show them how you split the different note values, and you have seen this method. Chances are that you are using it. More important than this, and now they already understand it, it's the application of it. They need to hear it, they need to play it, okay? That it can really sink in. Our brains need time to process information. And when we see something and we read it and we understand it, our brains process the information. And then, of course, when we write it down, and that's why theory of music is so important, the information literally sinks into the subconscious mind. So when you explain to them the division of notes, they have to play it. Okay? It's not good enough to just merely read it. And then you also need to place it in terms of the beat value. So is a beat value a crotchet? because then half of the beat value is actually going to be 2 quavers. If it's a minim, half of the beat is going to be 2 crotchets. So they need to know what is the beat. Okay, so they need to place the note values in relation to the beat. Then the next step is that you're going to combine rhythm with beat. So you are going to have an exercise, so you can play something on the piano. There are so many different exercises that you can find on the internet, and I will also share in the text section below this video a couple of links that you can have a look at. But you can really just find what works for you, and also look at the level your learners are and then take it from there. Okay, so you are now going to have an exercise where learners are going to combine beat and rhythm. A good idea is to split the class into half. One half claps or stamps the beat, and the other half is actually clapping a rhythm. Then you can even split the class even further into different rhythms. And this is exactly also how you are going to introduce syncopation. Very important when you're teaching syncopation, again, is to put it in context of the beat. They need to know where the beat is. And then it's very easy. If the sense of beat is secure, it's very easy for the learners to understand where those offbeat notes are going to fit in. Okay, then just a couple of general things that I would like to mention when it gets to teaching notes and rests. And that is that I already mentioned that you can split the class into groups, but also important is that you change groups, so they can't always stick with the same rhythm. And then just one thing that I want to say in terms of rests, you have to show them. So here you have a brief rest, the semi-brief rest, the minim rest. Okay. I know there are different ways to remember which one is which because I do get confused. I always thought, because the minim rest only counts 2 beats, then it's just under, it's a little bit less important, not really less important, but you get what I'm saying, below the semi-brief rest. And then there's your crotchet rest. So you can tell them it's like a skew Z with a C attached to that. And then you have your quaver and your semi-quaver rest. Make the learners attend to the fact that your demi-semi-quaver and hemi-demi-semi-quaver rests start by touching the 5th line. And of course the quaver and semi-quaver rest, they start by touching the 4th line. When it gets to dotted notes, some learners struggle to comprehend the concept. Very easy. Just draw, here on the board, I gave you a double dotted semi-brief note. So draw a semi-brief. They should, by grade 10, at least understand a normal dotted note. So you write your semi-brief, and then, yes, the value of the first dot is half of the semi-brief. Value of the second dot is half the value of your first dot. Okay, so semi-brief, minim, crotchet, which is tight. Okay, and that should make it fairly easy for them to understand the double dotted rests, double dotted note values. Next thing that I want to mention is your irregular note groups. So when it gets to teaching irregular note groups, again, we have our theoretical understanding of it. So a triplet, so we have 3 quavers and now we have a triplet. It's 3, what did I say, semiquavers. Okay, semiquavers. We have 3 semiquavers that we play in the time of 2 semiquavers. So that's just the theoretical definition of it. But the easiest way for them to actually really understand it and how it works is to put it in relation to one note value. So if it's 3 semiquavers in the time of 2, then of course the note that it needs to fit into is a quaver. Okay, so always just make it very practical. But they need to also know how to, if it's a question in the exam, explain what the triplet means. They need to say it's 3 semiquavers in the time of 2 semiquavers, or whatever the note value might be. Then I would like to just quickly, I mentioned this in my previous video clip, but I would like to stand a bit still on duality of time signatures. So of course, that is the concept that every simple time signature has got an equal compound time signature. Again, it's all about beat and the value of a beat. So here on the board, I've drawn an example in 4/4, and then I wrote it in its relative compound time signature, which is 12/8. Okay, so by now the learners should already know to get or to know what 12/8 means. You are going to divide the top number by 3 and the bottom number by 2, and you're going then to get to 4 dotted crochet beads per bar. Okay, so we have 4 beads. For each of these examples, there are 4 beads in a bar. The difference is here the value of a bead is a crochet, and over here the value of a bead is a dotted crochet. So in this top example, in simple time, our first 2 beads is occupied by 1 note value, a minimum. So if we convert it to compound time, it simply becomes a dotted minimum, as easy as that. Then in our next bead, we have a crochet rest. It occupies the whole bead, okay? So sometimes the learners find this difficult. How can a crochet rest here become a dotted crochet, okay? If they understand a bead in 4/4 is a crochet, a full bead equals a crochet, and a full bead in 12/8 is a dotted crochet, then they're going to make that connection. Oh, it's a full bead, okay? So the crochet rest takes up the full bead. The dotted crochet bead takes up the full bead. Then on my bead 3, I've got 2 quavers, and whenever you have in simple time just 2 notes that you need to now convert into compound time, you simply have to add an irregular note group. Okay, then so no duplet. Now we have a duplet. Okay, if we add a triplet in simple time, it's going to become, we basically remove the triplet. Okay, so that's what we do. So no irregular note group becomes an irregular note group. Irregular note group becomes no irregular note group. Okay, that is just something else that I wanted to just really make sure that you're okay with it and that you can show the learners how it works. The next thing is teaching the ABI, the Anchrosis. I'm going to show you an example, and this is how I do it in my classes. I wrote this example for you guys, okay? So you can see I have 3 crochet beads in a bar. My first 2 beads is a minimum, and then my bead 3 is just a crochet. So what you do is you write it on a piece of paper for your class, okay? Because it tells you the class, yes, this gets moved over, but it's not really, and for them to understand, you count them together, but it's not the same bar. They really struggle with the Anchrosis. If you've taught it, you know that it's also a concept that they can find quite abstract to really grasp. But if you just do this, so you would write it out like this, and then what you do is you're going to say, okay, this is exactly how the anachrosis works. You tear part of the bar up. Okay, let's see if my tear works. There you go. Okay, and then what we do is we literally, of course, without the time, the clef and the time signature, we put it at the end. Okay, so now my beat 1 and 2 is basically at the end. And that's why you count your last bar together with the upbeat. Okay, so as easy as that. So actually tear it and they realize, oh yeah, okay, so we just moved the beginning to the end. And they also then understand why our upbeat starts on the final beat or beats of the upbeat. Important when you teach the anachrosis to tell them that this is counted as bar 0. You really have to drill it into them, because examples in the exam does include your upbeat, and if they're going to start counting here, their answers, say they say, what note do you get on beat 3 of bar 1, is going to be incorrect. So make them aware of the fact that this is bar 0, and then of course our last bar is going to be counted as the complete bar. So in this case it would be bar 0, 1, 2, and then 3. Okay, I hope that makes sense, and it's going to help you to teach the anachrosis more effortlessly. Then the last thing that I want to mention is, if you look at the CAPS document in topic 2 for the I am stream in grade 12, they also prescribe pulse as well as mellow rhythm. Now, there is going to be a session later in the year where I'm going to get an I am specialist in, and that specialist is then going to cover these aspects properly. And that's all from me for today and for this video.